Hello, I am the Siopao guy, and today I want to talk about this video here. It's called Master Duel is Killing the TCG by MBT Yugioh here. Now, is Master Duel really killing the TCG? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's creating more convenience, so there's not really that much need to go play the card game anymore. No, in the sense that it's now getting more people into the eye when it comes to understanding and recognizing what Yu-Gi-Oh is. When I say Yu-Gi-Oh, I look at Yu-Gi-Oh as not just a card game, I look at it as like a brand. So I want to see how does Master Duel kill TCG, according to MBT here actually. And MBT technically has some strange takes at times though, but I want to see what he has to say.
It used to be that being into Yu-Gi-Oh meant one thing: playing the card game as well as you could, as often as you could.
Wait, no. No, can I hear that again then, sir?
It used to be that being into Yu-Gi-Oh meant one thing: playing the card game as well as you could, as often as you could.
No. I guess if you're like some people, I guess so, right? He's not wrong when he says it used to be a thing, but like, I don't know, like when if you like talk to a random person about Yu-Gi-Oh, they're like not gonna think that much about the card game. They'll think about like the anime first, right? Or they're gonna say it's a complicated card game, but like that's not like actually true. For the circles that MBT is in though, or for some circles out there, this probably is true, but to say this,
being into Yu-Gi-Oh meant one thing: playing the card game as well as you could, as often as you could.
if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to get good at the card game. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like, how many kids actually like cared about being good at the card game? No, you play the card game because you thought monsters were really cool back then, right? Like that was the hook. Like we didn't get when we saw Yu-Gi-Oh, the hook of Yu-Gi-Oh was the monsters were super cool and you wanted to have them, and they were like more vibey with teenagers than they were for little kids because little kids like Pokemon, but teenagers liked Yu-Gi-Oh because the design was a lot more like darker. I have to say that actually, a lot more adult. But no, not every person who got into Yu-Gi-Oh is into Yu-Gi-Oh just because they want to get good at the game. I'm not sure about that, dude.
Everyone from Robbie Cole to Asian Eyes had developed and nuanced opinions about the cards, strategies, format, and gameplay of the card game we all share.
If you're in a certain part of the community, I guess so. Like, people who are into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh like represent a very small fraction of the community that we kind of gaslit ourselves into thinking like make up the majority. I believe that actually. It's like how people were extremely uncomfortable at like Konami have been doing this weird thing where like they're getting celebrity like appearances and guests to talk about their enjoyment of Yu-Gi-Oh, and like the main like hardcore community of Yu-Gi-Oh players are just completely ignoring that. Like, that just to me is wild. Like, you could have like the most famous people in the world, from like Kanye West to Donald Trump to Elon Musk, talk about how much they enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh, and for some reason, this community that like MBT is specifically talking about here actually will like ignore that for some strange weird reason.
Opinions about the cards, strategies, format, and gameplay of the card game we all share. That's no longer the case. These days, being into Yu-Gi-Oh can mean anything from I tune into MBT's streams to watch him watch Progression Series, a show that meant
That's saying a lot though. Like, if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, you gotta like this content creator. Like, not really. No, that's like saying if you're into Pokemon, you gotta be into like Pokemon trade and sell stuff and like Logan Paul. Like, no, you don't. Like, no, you really don't.
a lot to me during COVID, to using the infrastructure on Yugioh Pro Deck. I play Arena with some of my Discord.
How many people like realistically use this system actually? Like, I use it, but like most people really don't use like Yugioh Pro.
Friends, to I haven't played the game in decades, but I love updating the memes on Master Duel meta.
This is a very specific like community you're talking about here, dude. Like, okay. So I do say this. I do think the Yu community is like out of touch a lot when it comes to like what's happening in the real world or happening in other communities here. But this is a very narrow-minded perspective and view on like Yu-Gi-Oh.
The death of the TCG monoculture has grown the community immensely, but it's also cost something. And as I ruminate on what that thing is and why it might matter, I find myself coming to the same conclusion over and over and over again.
Yeah, let's go for like those zoom-ins over here, actually. Let's go for that. You're very proud of that, weren't you?
I find myself coming to the same conclusion over and over and over again.
Oh man, dude, all the zoom in cuts actually. You must be a serious person then.
Master Duel is destroying the TCG. In a myriad of ways, through a myriad of forms, the continued success of Yu-Gi-Oh's online component is coming at the active detriment of paper play. And
Yeah.
I want to talk about it.
Now, before I do get into this, actually tell me here, is inherently a good thing or a bad thing? In your mind, is it inherently a good thing or a bad thing that the TCG is slowly losing popularity? Which is strange because it was gaining huge popularity in 2020 and 2019 actually, because here's the nostalgia boom that happened like 6 years ago. But Master Duel has overall been a more positive and negative. I can safely say that.
Before we get into anything, I want to make one thing extremely clear. I am not trying to denigrate individuals who play Master Duel. I'm not trying to imply that Master Duel is not real Yu-Gi-Oh! Or takes less skill or is even less interesting. The last thing I'd want is for people who find joy in Master Duel to feel wrong for doing so. This isn't meant to pit two communities against each other.
That's... I've seen on Twitter say that Master Duel is not real Yu-Gi-Oh! Couple times actually. Like many of the big figureheads in like Yu-Gi-Oh always keep saying, well, Master Duel isn't an accurate like indicator of what Yu-Gi-Oh really is, oftentimes though, and then they're like never called out on that for some strange reason.
And in many ways, it's meant to dispel the myth that there are really two communities at all. Got it? Let's get started. This past weekend was the NAWCQ. I went, I had my invite, it was fun. Indianapolis is a really nice city. I told everyone all week that it felt like it was built in a more optimistic time. We were surrounded by skyscrapers, dozens of stories tall, most of which had been completely hollowed out. In fact, our Airbnb had once been a department store before being mostly converted to some extremely skinny two-bedroom setups. When you walked outside of your room, you could still peer down into a...
Okay, let's get to the card game.
In the last few years, Konami's really stepped up their game with respect to the YCS and WCQ experience. They've poached commentators from other esports, figured out how to run high mid-roll, and even let the winners
honestly,
sign the
dude,
lens of...
they've been making the game a lot more like user-friendly and like okay, so it's like how like Tekken, like if you know Tekken right now, like Tekken has blown up incredibly huge in the past like 7-8 years actually, because like it's such a fun like game to watch. It really is. And right now, like it used to be a thing like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like for these like shows, is like you go in, you watch the people duel, the end. And now they're like making it more entertainment based, which is something I really do appreciate, honestly. They're trying to explore outside their own like identity, with like the celebrities, with the commentary being like a lot more jokey, a lot more casual friendly, also doing a lot more mini games here. I do appreciate and like that a lot more.
Of the camera after he took it. Oh, and also they'd set up a Connect game where you could run around an obstacle course as Karibo. Good stuff all around. I did okay.
It's fun to roll.
I started out at 5-1 before the wheels fell off. Fatigue and a couple of curveballs messed with my mental, and I misplayed my way out of date.
No, though, this is the same guy actually who like lost in a tournament and they made a 22-minute video complaining of how unfair Yu-Gi-Oh is.
2. My penultimate round, the match that would determine if I stayed in or got drunk at a barcade, a Midwestern delicacy, was against none other than the one and only Team Samurai X1. On one hand, I hate playing friends.
Okay, let's get to the main point here. Main point.
He spoke like he was trying to convince someone. Me, maybe, himself, the community. The WCQ was huge. 2,800 people showed up, each sporting an invitation hard-won from another huge tournament. This puts it on pace with one of the biggest WCQs of all time, but I couldn't help but feel small. Unlike other WCQs, to me, this one felt like the 2,800 people in this room were the last people playing the TCG on the planet.
That's hyperbolic to say. So you went in a tournament with over 2,000 people, and you said it's shrinking because everybody across the world went to this specific WCQ. Not really sure about that, dude. Like, dang, a lot of people went to this Yu-Gi-Oh event. It must mean like TCG's not doing good.
Over the past few years, I've watched almost all of my friends, lifelong Yugists, and a significant number of my colleagues on YouTube stop playing the TCG altogether. As content creators, the latter group has pretty substantial data as to what's working, what isn't, what people are watching, and what they aren't. And the picture is pretty clear. The TCG just isn't what people want to watch. DBG's down, Yassine's down, Pac has completely shifted his focus to MetaFi coaching. Even the competitive TCG creators that are seeing massive growth right now, Lucas Sacco, GG Yugioh, are struggling to crack 10K on views.
So is this a Yu-Gi-Oh thing or a content creator thing at this point here? Maybe, just maybe. Okay, I'm serious now here. Okay, Let's go back here.
Completely shifted his focus to MetaFi coaching. Even the competitive TCG creators that are seeing massive growth right now, Lucas Sacco, GG Yugioh, are struggling to crack 10K on views.
Okay, you know why? Wait, here's the thing. Because now we can explore a different type of Yu-Gi-Oh here. Also, here's another thing. These content creators have been doing this stuff here for many, many years. And the Yu-Gi-Oh community as a whole has gotten older. I used to watch a lot of Farfa and a lot of MBT and a lot of SEMO stuff like 8-7 years ago. Now that after a couple years of watching them, you kind of like get your gist of it. Actually, just kind of move on from that point here. And that's how it is with these guys now. Like the Yu community has gotten older. Like we've watched a lot of your content already, and then we've kind of just moved on from it. Like a lot of like the big content creators here in the Yu community are like 30+ year olds, or they're about to be 30. And so for them to continue making the same content for years, and then people are just getting tired of it though, is completely understandable. It really is.
Big names like Sam occasionally put out deck profiles to the tune of a third of their normal viewership, and 10-minute testing still doing okay, but I'd hardly call it competitive content. There is exactly one competitive TCG player who's putting up numbers, Josh, and half his fucking videos are about Master Duel. As the monoculture begins to deteriorate, as Yu-Gi-Oh players become a looser amalgamation of individuals who like Yu-Gi-Oh instead of explicit TCG players, there are financial consequences. If you haven't
Let's go here. All right, let's go.
Attention to the price of product recently, it's not good. Individual cards can command triple digits of money.
Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten way more expensive. That's one of the best parts. Yu-Gi-Oh is incredible. Actually, it's been expensive for about 20 years here, but like the accessibility is the best it's ever been. Ironically enough, though. Like, I know I'm asking a lot over here actually, but you also got to know like the average like person has made is like the average like the middle class here, although they're shrinking in regards compared to the high class here. There are people are generally nowadays like there's so many avenues to go and make money, and you can make like an ultra competitive deck here actually after working maybe like 1 or 2 days like at a middle average class job. I'll say that. Like, not everybody works at McDonald's. Not everybody works like a low income job as if they're like a 19, 21-year-old. Not everybody works at at a Sam's Club at as a cashier. Not everybody is not every I think the average like earner in America makes around like I'm only speaking like from like a Western American actually, but the average American makes about $35 $35 an hour. Like, I know we have this tendency of like thinking like everybody who like works a job, like the majority of them work like a low income job that's like making them like under $20 an hour. When it's really like the average person makes about $35 an hour, like across all of America. And so when you account that in actually, and you count in like how expensive everything is generally, I say right now, like we're closer to affordability to Yu-Gi-Oh more than we've ever been before, but we are still in this weird like out of touch, I believe, like perspective in Yu-Gi-Oh where like if you don't get the newest cards then you can't compete, which is completely not true at all. We pressure people into believing that all the time really, when truth be told actually you really don't always need all the like the Mocharme stuff here. Yeah, the Mocharme stuff is really cool and all actually, but there are like many alternatives to that. Like, and here's the thing though, you don't have to like there's a weird expectation that you have to top at a high level in order to really be into Yu-Gi-Oh, when you really don't have to actually. There are, like, almost at a weekly basis, there are plenty of rogue decks that do well, that are affordable, that do really well in tournaments. But we really don't highlight them all that much, though, because we have a tendency to believe, like, if you're not number 1 or number 2, then you're probably garbage then. And we constantly always out. Even if, like, a rogue deck, like Plants, for instance, does, like, really well and gets first place, actually, we're going to disregard it, though. That's just a general thing. We have a tendency of, like, being picky and choosy as to what decks and what cards are really good, though. Like, it's more of a hive mind thing more than anything else, where we have to gaslight ourselves into objectively thinking that we absolutely need Molarcharmy Perulia, when truth be told, actually, you really don't.
Core set is rotting on the shelves for cost, not MSRP, cost. Opening packs is quickly becoming a thing of the past.
Yes, you know why? You know why, actually? Because every content creator and people who's bought boxes always keep saying to not buy boxes.
I chase product to open if you're just occasionally going to show up to locals with a pet deck. The tack-on effects for OTSs are dire. They can't sustain a business with products rotting on the shelves. The final nail in the coffin for paper play came earlier today.
Okay, wait, let's go back here. I want to talk about this here.
Individual cards can command triple digits of money for a playset, but the most recently released core set is rotting on the shelves for cost. Not MSRP, cost. Opening packs is quickly becoming a thing of the past.
You know why that is? Because for the past, like, 8 years, pro players, content creators, casual players, people who buy the boxes and then they do the box openings and give you a disappointing look, or actually interacting with people who bought those boxes for the past 9 years in any of our locals, they always have a look of disappointment because everyone knows that the cheapest way to go get the cards you want actually is through TCG or through TCG player, buying online, or looking out for singles. It's like you're saying this, but you're one of the reasons, you're the one of the people, including Farfud and Seymour, like almost everybody in the community is saying, don't buy boxes, buy singles because it's a lot more affordable. People we keep saying, hey, put your money where your mouth is actually. People are finally doing that, okay? We're no longer these like young, early 20-something-year-olds who like worked like a low-income job, like as like, I don't know, a cashier or a fast food worker. Like, not all of us are like that anymore, right? Then we're now at a point now where a lot of us are actually making like somewhat decent amount of money here, or like decent average, somewhat American income. I'm only speaking here like as an American here actually, but a lot of us are like making somewhat decent money here. And after years of being told to not buy booster boxes, we finally stopped buying booster boxes, and we're actually buying singles now. Like, you're only buying the box for the sake of like the experience, but after having the experience, it's like so unnecessary. Like, the only reason I would ever buy a box actually is if I'm super bored and I just want to like have fun and just have to deal with the experience of potentially maybe getting like this big expensive card from booster box, which almost never happens here. Like, or even buying packs. If even buying packs is like a ripoff. For the large majority of the time here, if you buy a booster box or buy a pack, actually, you're gonna lose money. So like, why is it like a bad thing now that people are like, yeah, that's kind of a bad idea to buy these boxes here. I'm gonna buy singles, and then like people are complaining or they're upset about people not buying the boxes. Like, it's like, I don't get should we buy the boxes or not? I'm so confused about that.
Not MSRP, cost. Opening packs is quickly becoming a thing of the past.
Because if you open a pack back, then you're being ripped off or you are losing money. We're a lot more smarter about this now, actually.
Why chase product to open if you're just occasionally going to show up to locals with a pet deck?
But that's not even the case, actually. That is completely not true.
Thing of the past. Why chase product to open if you're just occasionally going to show up to locals with a pet deck?
Because we're not buying the boxes, though. We're buying the singles. That's the honest true take here, because we've been told for years to not buy the boxes because everyone knows that the boxes are a complete ripoff. They've always been a ripoff for many years, actually. But the difference between us now versus us back then, actually, is us back then, we're constantly thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! When like, I'm saying it's, a lot of us who got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently right now are people who got into it though, or like really invest in getting time into it though, when they're like college age. Between the ages of 20 to 25, 26 years old actually, is when a lot of people start like putting money into the game. But when you get past that age actually, and like your priorities change over time, and the communities get a lot more older as time goes on actually, like I say a large portion of the hardcore Yu community are over the age of like 32. I really do believe that actually. Like, a lot of the content creators nowadays are like 35 plus years old, are married and got kids here. Why spend money on booster boxes when like you could save the money for an apartment or for a house or for food or for your loved ones? Like, our perception on money has changed. The reason why people overspent money on Yu-Gi-Oh products when they're like 21, 22 years old back in 2019, 2020. Now it's 6 years later now, and those like same like early 20-something-year-olds are now 28, 29, 32, 33, 30 now. Our perception on things have changed actually, and we're not just gonna buy a box because we love Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. We're being a lot more smart with our money, and that's how it should always be. People should always be smarter with their money.
The tack-on effects for OTSs are dire. They can't sustain a business with
No! They can't sustain a business. It's not the consumer's job to make a business keep running.
products rotting on the shelves. The final nail in the coffin for Paperplay came earlier today. Epic Games, along with some other Yu-Gi-Oh! Distributors, revealed they had received guidance requiring them to phase out Time Wizard at the regional level to be replaced with Time Trial, an anachronistic format that basically amounts to a fucked up mix between the TCG and OCG ban lists at a specific point in time, with every card that's received an errata having that errata, and Master Rule 5. This change was attempted once already and received such severe backlash from the...
Yeah, okay, so I'm of two minds of this, though. Okay, so as I said before, the Yu community has gotten a lot older. Because we've gotten a lot older, I believe Konami has recognized this, actually. And yeah, these Time Wizard formats, these like time trial formats here, they are popular among they are popular among the older community members within Yu-Gi-Oh! And I do think there's a level of complacency and a level of over-reliance, though, where Konami has this hardcore fan base. Like, I think since Edison format in 2010, Konami has strictly made content and product that appeals to those same people. And so now those same people, now like 10 plus years later on, actually, Konami is like, okay, I think it's time to move on here, right? Like, they're working on this weird VR game that they should have worked on many years ago. They're working on this like animated like cartoon here that should have worked on many years ago here. And then I think Konami really does recognize they're going through a new future. They're going through a new future or a new or a new era where they want to move on from like their older like fan base and their older community here. And they're handling it though in a way where it's like they're hard pushing it though. They're making Edison format look tough. They're making it difficult to really get into old Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they want to appeal to a new fan base or a new audience, and you recognize it with the celebrity guests. They're like celebrities telling their many young fans to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're at this weird dichotomy of like Konami wants to have a new audience to replace its much more older community members, but at the same time though, actually they're not doing it at a fast enough rate though, where those new players are replacing the older players, and they're pushing away the older players a little bit too much here actually. So the Konami wants to make content and product that will appeal to newer people, but it's not doing all that well, and they're getting to it way too late. While at the same time, though, they're pushing away their older players. So now they're basically like struggling to get new players while pushing older players away, and it's making them look bad in terms of PR.
The community that Konami was pressured into reversing, but that reversal was very specific and intentionally
like, I
left the
get
door
it.
open to do.
Like, I understand their
exactly
reasoning
this.
as to why they
are
don't want it.
changing Time Wizard, a grassroots development by the community that's brought thousands of lapsed Yugists back into the fold? Well, because you can't play it in Master Duel. This is where
I wouldn't say that exactly. I don't really believe that. I think it's them trying to push out their older players to get newer players here. And that's always been a struggle for years, is because they've been overly complacent with their older players.
It all comes together. As the community moves on from competitive content, as OTSs are unable to push product, and as paper decisions are being made with the online client in mind, we may have to face facts. Master Duel's just a little too good. It's becoming increasingly clear the future of this product is going to be inexorably tied to Master Duel.
It's convenience. It is extremely convenient, though. The biggest reason, Master Duel is like the best thing to has happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! Years. We can admit that, right then. Not tier limits, not a hand trap, not whatever your favorite pet deck is or favorite card effect is actually, not your favorite like tournament like duel that happened at a YCS. The best thing to ever happen at Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Master Duel, because able to. Okay, like I say, like as people who are part of the community, we should really be happy and do our very best here to get people into Yu-Gi-Oh. Not get people into the TCG, but get people into Yu-Gi-Oh. It used to be a thing where it's like, you have to like the TCG card game, or there's nothing else. Like, even if you're into the anime, like, you're kind of shoved aside, and you just have to like the TCG, actually. Nowadays, I think there are a lot more people who are more open about, like, liking the anime a lot more. I think there are more people who, like, enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of Master Duels, who get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of Master Duel. I've met a lot of people who got into the TCG because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. The biggest issue as to why people struggled and why, like, people didn't get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the popularity of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just dipped down since like Edison format though, is because people just didn't want to get into the card game, or it was not really convenient. If you were a teenager and you didn't have a job, how could you get into the card game? unless you just beg your parents to go give you money. And not everybody had rich parents to go deal with that, right? That's not really true. Master Duel created so much convenience, and consider the fact that a lot of us are socially awkward nerds who struggle putting two words together when talking to a girl, or in the sense here that, oh, by the way, I'm fully aware that there's currently a male loneliness like pandemic thing going on right now, actually, where there's a lot of these like nerdy like single dudes out there who struggle with interacting with other people. And so Master Duel does a really good sense of helping those people out who have like a lot of stress or anxiety in terms of playing the card game. Because it is true though, there are nerdy people out there in your locals, or nerdy people out there who refuse to go to locals because the stress and anxiety gets them. Also, they gotta cough up a lot of money to go play the card game. And once again, nowadays it's gotten better, but before that, actually, people had to spend way more money back then for cards.
We will play the side formats they prescribe. We will craft cards instead of purchasing them. We will watch their slick, readable client instead of dueling book. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, good. Instead of total confusion about what's being played, where, and why, we'll soon have a single client that encompasses all the ways you're allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of complaining about ass traps,
that's conspiracy theory MBT going on here. Let's go.
They'll be able to find something they like. And all it took was totally annihilating a paper player base. I think that's a trade-off that Konami's okay with. It's hard to look at the amount of money Master Duel makes every year with no overhead, no distributors, no production costs, and not immediately do everything you can to go all in on it. It's even possible doing so will save Yu-Gi-Oh! That it'll become a household name again.
Legitimately, yes. That is true, actually. Master Duel has done more for Yu-Gi-Oh! Than anything that's ever happened in the TCG card games.
Everyone's familiar with and can play at their leisure like fucking Fortnite. There was a leaked conversation between a shareholder and Konami a few months back that expressed frustration that Master Duel players weren't becoming paper players, that they wanted a way to shoo digital-only consumers to their IRL loot boxes. Rather than resolve that issue, I think Konami has actually made the opposite calculation. Paper play exists as a mechanism to entrench individuals into the Yu-Gi-Oh! IP, and when they want to play with their friends on...
It doesn't help that the community itself, though, is very gatekeepy, and we do push away players, actually, right? Like, if a player wants to get into Yu-Gi-Oh!, they gotta spend money on, like, more charming stuff, actually, then. But yet, there's, like, these people who, like, are, like... There's so much pressure to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! From a competitive aspect if you do try to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! That if you're not playing optimally, you do get shunned away. It is a thing that happens here. Like this guy over here. All right.
They wanted a way to shoo digital-only consumers to their IRL loot boxes. Rather than resolve that issue...
Like, this guy's saying right now that, like, Master Duel hasn't done a good job here, or there's a lack of people getting into the card game itself, though. We had a person in, like, Ackman, who, like, he made, like, admittedly kind of a dumb video, but it makes sense, though, about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game being too complicated. There has been so many videos out there of, like, people talking about how complicated as heck Yu-Gi-Oh! Is and how unfun it is to get into the game of... Like, by the way, here's the thing now. He's not really going over this, but the card game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really not fun. It really isn't. Like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game gets fun after your like, 200th duel. After playing 200 duels of Yu-Gi-Oh!, you will still, like, deal with, like, the overall pressure of the game. Like, it's a very unpleasant game to get into. It really is. And so, people recognize that, they complain about that, and if they try to get into the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, they'll just get, like, shunned out, though, or they get gatekeeped, or they get talked down to. Like, whenever there's a moment of, like, somebody who's outside the community try to get into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, we have people like this guy over here being a smartass to them, and, like, just kind of, like, bullying them online for reasons that I'm not really sure of here. Like, I don't get this. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Why do Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, like, they want more people to play the card game, but yet they want them to play the card game in a very specific way, and if they don't play the card game in a very specific way, they get made fun of. And then when those same players stop playing the game, or they complain about the game, we then get people like MBT saying that you don't get it. It's just it's such a backwards thing, actually, and I think people just use blaming Konami or Master Duel as a scapegoat to get over the fact that, like, the community itself, though, is extremely toxic and very unforgiving for newer players. Like, people like Duologs and Team Sam, the reason why they're such big Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, they're big content creators, is because they do make content that appeals to people who are outside the community. Meanwhile, someone here like MBT, actually, he only appeals to people who are within already in the community, so he's speaking to the choir here. And because of that, actually, I do think he is very out of touch with, like, how people perceive the game.
I think Konami has actually made the opposite calculation. Paper play exists as a mechanism to entrench individuals into the Yu-Gi-Oh IP, and when they want to play with their friends online, they'll download their incredibly popular gacha game. To be clear, even if these trends continue, I don't think this is the end of TCG. A worst-case scenario for me results in the TCG operating with the same legitimacy as Duel Links, a profitable enterprise just lucrative enough.
What the TCG needs, actually, the TCG needs a new faces, new eyes, new people to get into the game. We really do need to push away our older players here and replace them with a lot more newer, fresh people, actually, or people who have a lot more like newer ideas and minds when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh. I think Konami has been out of touch for many years, and now that they're finally like in touch with the current zeitgeist of what people generally want though in like Yu-Gi-Oh. It is like making older players uncomfortable.
Enough to sustain itself, but one which is also wholly ignored by the wider player base. Cottage industry for Metafy Andes. So, who cares? If the worst comes to pass and paper events and products become totally infrequent, but digital's thriving, then what's the harm? After all, it's still Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Keegan of E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Fame posted a series of tweets today that really resonated with me. In them, he claimed that the reason he started his sister tournament series, the R-Bets, was because Yu-Gi-Oh! Means more than just playing the game. It's an opportunity in an increasingly atomized and lonely.
What? The reason I started throwing these was giving the loneliest generation a third place. Make friends, find out the cop, and generate value for their memorabilia? Generate value for their memorabilia. Konami wants to take this away for no good reason, and this is genuinely sickening. Okay, find a healthy competition when like formats are generally unhealthy. Make friends. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! You could definitely make friends on Yu-Gi-Oh! But like, Konami taking it away though, because you can make friends through like online means nowadays, which is what a lot of people do nowadays. Generate value for their memorabilia? What? Generate value for their memorabilia? What? Not everybody's into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they want to make money. What?
World to leave your house and hang out with people you don't know. I can't deny it's more convenient to play online. You can get up to piss, watch Vsauce in the other monitor.
Yeah, it's convenient.
To me, it's missing something. There's a je ne sais quoi about being forced to enjoy yourself in real life with other people. Even at my lowest, just having locals as a consistent centralizing force, a routine was irreplaceable. And even if the winds of change blow away.
But that's not even a locals thing, actually. It really isn't. That's just a human thing. That's just generally people being like lonely nowadays, actually. That has nothing to do with like corporate companies like enabling it, actually. It's not really true. I don't believe that at all, actually. I believe that's just people generally like life and social media has getting people down, where you want to seclude yourself here so you don't want to hang out with others, actually, because stress and anxiety is a huge and a big thing, actually. Also, no one wants to who wants to cough up like $700, $800 or potentially even $1,000 to travel to another state or country to go play Yu-Gi-Oh! When like we all have our own busy lives here. Like like there are people out there who travel and they go play video games because they enjoy that. I get that, actually. It's your hobby. You can do whatever you want with it, though. My only problem with this image here, though, is that this image is comprised of people out here, actually, whose, like, entire income is banked off, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! That really is, actually, then. Yes, they can, like, go to these, like, in-person events here, actually, and get, like, more connections and, like, and hang out and interact with their friends here. But they can conveniently do that, though, because, like, they make money off the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself here. Like, this guy over here, MBT, makes around, like, 15 to, like, 20K a month, though, off, like, playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Making Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Now, not everybody is in that position to go do so. And I even saw, like, online, actually, where, like, one of the big motivators to, like, get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or to go into events, actually, is to potentially do good enough in a tournament then, and then you can segue your tournament success into being a content creator. But, like, not everybody wants to, like, monopolize their game or make profit off the game. They just want to play the game. They just want to go, like, they work their job. After their job, they hang out with their friends. After they hang out with friends, you can then like use your time to work on any recreational activity, whether it be like watching a movie, playing a video game, exercising, or playing a card game, and then you can do that actually. But like to travel outside like your own city, state, and or country to be able to do that actually requires a lot of convenience to happen in your overall life. And some of these people here, like Luke Von Karma, Distant Coder here, Gage, MBT. No, he actually does work like a real job in IRL though, and that's why he sparingly makes content then. But for the most part here, actually, like MBT is speaking from like a very privileged position, honestly, that I'm just not a big fan of.
Neutralizing force, a routine,
And I'm saying this as somebody who's currently trying to find like an alternate way to go make money right now through like content creation. I admit that, but it's not my main source of income here. Meanwhile, this guy here is making like 15-20K a month though off Yu-Gi-Oh. So,
and even if the winds
you
of
can
change blow
you can
away
do
from
something
paper,
that
I'll be
people
playing whatever.
like. You can compete and you can travel because you have the convenience to do so. Not everybody has the convenience to do so.
Whatever format I can in real life until I can't. You've got to.
All right, let's
Even
finish
if the
it
winds
here.
of change blow away from paper, I'll be playing whatever format I can in real life until I can't. You
Enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh however you want to enjoy. If you don't want to play a card game, then don't play a card game. If you want to go play the game virtually, play the game virtually. If you just want to enjoy the anime, you can enjoy the anime here. Actually, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is lacking this thing now, where like it used to be a thing right now, and it's for this guy kind of. Or it's like it used to be, like the main way to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh is through the card game, and I don't think that should be it. Actually, I think there should be multiple avenues to enjoy the IP and the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh, and Konami recognized that, and they're trying to get away from just being the card game, and it is pushing away older players here, like this guy over here. And I am all down for having multiple ways to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh. I still say if there's a Monster Hunter version, like if there's a Monster Hunter game or a fighting game based around Yu-Gi-Oh characters, that would be totally awesome, and that would actually stop me from playing the card game even more actually. But that's not inherently a bad thing. It really isn't though. If you enjoy the card game, then play it. If you don't enjoy it, don't play it. Very simple, very straightforward.
You've got to.
All right.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Blue Tron, demoing my deck that I played for my
Nostalgia. Okay then, sweet. All right then, sweet. Masterduel, by the way. Hey, AMBD, you know one way to promote the game, the card game actually? Like, you're out here saying that like, oh, darn it. Like, people are getting into Master Duels, and because of it actually, less people are getting to the TCG here. Then you make a content based around the new Master. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like this, he talks about the actual card game, not just Master Duels here. Let's check this out. Let's check this out. And
Place that it will.
hey, Master Duel content. Let's go. Man, it's so upsetting here that people are like not getting to the TCG game here because they found ways to enjoy the game off Master Duels. By the way, actually, here's my new Master Duel video talking about it, actually. It's, okay, sure. Let's go with that.